WWE is potentially making another mistake by relying on Hulk Hogan, and in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what that mistake could be. Hulk Hogan has long been regarded as one of the biggest names in professional wrestling, but his recent appearances and the fallout from them reveal a side of his legacy that WWE may want to reconsider as they move forward. From his controversial past to the mixed reactions he generates from today's fans and locker room, WWE could be stepping into dangerous territory by continuing to bring him back into the fold. Let's start with his appearance on WWE's Monday Night Raw, which didn't go exactly as planned. Despite being one of the most iconic figures in the wrestling business, Hulk Hogan was met with a chorus of boos during this appearance, and the reaction wasn't exactly what WWE had hoped for. His inclusion was meant to hype the show and promote his new venture, his Real American Beer line, which is one of WWE's new sponsors. But despite the intentions behind it, the fan reaction made waves across social media and was even picked up by mainstream media outlets, putting Hogan back in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. People pointed to various factors for why the crowd turned on him. Some chalked it up to the fact that Raw was held in Los Angeles, one of the most liberal cities in the US, and a place where Hogan's past comments might not be as easily forgiven. Others suggested that his endorsement of Donald Trump during the Republican National Convention had come back to haunt him. However, the fact remains that the crowd's reaction was far from the warm welcome WWE might have expected for a figure as historically significant as Hogan. What's even more telling is the reaction of other WWE legends who were also present during the same Raw event. Take The Undertaker, for instance. He was on the show as well, and not only did he endorse Rhea Ripley, but he also made a point of speaking highly of Hogan in previous interviews. The Undertaker even had Hogan on his podcast, and Hogan received a warm reception from the audience during that time. If someone like Kane, another WWE legend who has openly supported Donald Trump, were to appear on Raw, there's a good chance that he would have been cheered, just as he has been in the past. Yet, for Hogan, the boos seem to overshadow any potential support he may have garnered from his long and illustrious career. This is where the problem lies. While WWE fans may be willing to accept other legends for what they stand for or have stood for, Hogan's past actions and comments are hard to ignore. Specifically, his infamous leaked sex tape, in which he made racist comments, resurfaced as a major talking point during this recent appearance. His comments during that tape were so damaging that WWE was forced to fire him and remove him from the Hall of Fame. Despite this, Hogan was eventually brought back into the fold, and he was given a chance to address the locker room. However, the apology he offered, or rather, the lack of it, left many people feeling unsatisfied. Hogan's statement to the WWE locker room after his return from the Hall of Fame was nothing short of shocking. Rather than offering a heartfelt apology, Hogan instead advised the locker room to be careful with what they say when they know they're being recorded. This comment, rather than showing any genuine remorse, highlighted his lack of understanding of the gravity of his past actions. For many in the WWE locker room, the feeling was clear: Hulk Hogan is not a man who is truly sorry for his past, and his actions continue to speak louder than any words he could say. Now, we look ahead to the upcoming Saturday night's main event on January 25th, which brings the focus back to Hogan. He had done a voiceover for a promo hyping the event, and the question is, will he appear on the show, or will his participation be limited to just a voiceover? According to reports, WWE was initially planning to use Hogan in multiple upcoming appearances. However, following the backlash from his Raw appearance, WWE seems to be rethinking their plans for the Hall of Famer. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer Radio has confirmed that Hogan is still scheduled to appear on the January 25th show, though it's unclear whether he will be physically present in front of the crowd. There's a possibility that WWE could alter its plans by the time the show airs, either by keeping Hogan off-screen entirely or limiting his involvement to pre-taped segments. Regardless of what ultimately happens, it's clear that there's no consensus within WWE on how to handle Hogan's involvement moving forward. As iconic as Hulk Hogan is in the world of professional wrestling, the reality is that his star power is fading. There was a time when Hogan was undeniably one of the biggest names in the industry. Whether it was his time in WWE or his run in WCW, he achieved legendary status by becoming the face of professional wrestling across multiple decades, and for that, he will always be remembered. But the further away we get from his in-ring prime, the more his actions away from the ring come under scrutiny. For years now, wrestling fans have watched as the likes of Ric Flair and Hogan have continued to be in the spotlight, even as their personal lives and comments have raised eyebrows. While both of these men achieved remarkable success in the ring, their legacies are now clouded by controversial statements and actions. Flair, for example, is often seen as a fickle figure, driven by a "what have you done for me lately?" mentality. Hogan, on the other hand, remains a polarizing figure for his past racist comments and his refusal to truly atone for his mistakes. In the case of Hogan, reports from within WWE reveal that the general feeling among the locker room is that Hogan is not seen as a genuinely good person. There's a sense that he has failed to change or show any real remorse for the things he has said in the past. In fact, his actions have only reinforced the idea that he is someone who will do whatever it takes to protect his image and status, without truly acknowledging the damage caused by his words. This is a sentiment that has been echoed by multiple WWE superstars, and it paints a clear picture of why Hogan's presence in the company is no longer as valued as it once was. A recent story shared by Mark Henry adds to this narrative. After Hogan's racist comments were exposed, Henry, a former WWE star, offered a suggestion to the Hall of Famer. He suggested that Hogan go to black colleges and publicly speak about his mistakes in an effort to show remorse and educate others about the damage of his words. Henry hoped that this could be part of Hogan's redemption arc, allowing him to use his platform to make a positive impact. However, Hogan rejected this idea, further cementing the perception that he was unwilling to take genuine steps to address his past. This entire situation raises the question: what is the real benefit of continuing to use Hulk Hogan in WWE programming? At this stage in his career, it's clear that his physical condition is not what it used to be. He's walking around with a cane, and his health has declined significantly in recent years. Even if WWE wanted to continue using him for promotional purposes, it's hard to argue that his presence adds much value to the product. Fans don't want to see a 70-something-year-old man on their TV screens. They want to remember Hogan from his prime, when he was larger than life and at the top of his game. The more he appears on TV, the less effective his presence becomes, and the more fans begin to see him for what he is today, rather than the icon he once was. This is a dynamic that TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, experienced when they brought Hogan in several years ago. Initially, his appearance boosted ratings and drew attention to the company. However, the more Hogan appeared on television, the less interest fans had in seeing him. The novelty wore off quickly, and his presence began to have diminishing returns. WWE could be setting itself up for a similar fate by continuing to rely on Hogan as a major figure in the company. Hogan's status as the biggest name in wrestling history can't be taken away from him, but the reality is that his time in the spotlight is over. The company needs to move on and stop relying on nostalgia to carry the product forward. It's important to use legends like Hogan sparingly and in ways that don't risk alienating the audience or overshadowing current talent. At the end of the day, the WWE product needs to be about the future, not the past. Continuing to lean on Hulk Hogan for anything more than a rare cameo or voiceover only risks tarnishing his legacy further.